Hello survivors and welcome to episode 8 of ARC News entitled Community Crunch 231 Discussion. In this episode we'll talk about Genesis Part 2 news, the Crystal Isles latest, the quality of life changes and the TLC update. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, as we're talking about a community crunch, I felt it was necessary to have the roundup theme for today's episode. So firstly, I'm going to read through the entire community crunch for you, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss some of the key points that I felt was necessary. When I discuss the quality of life issues, I'll mention some of the key patch notes from it, and the link will be in the description for you, so you can read that for yourselves. Because obviously the patch notes are very long and lengthy. So without further ado, I'll read the whole notes for you. So here's the Community Crunch 231 notes. An update on Genesis Part 2. So as we gear up for the epic conclusion of Ark Survival Evolved storyline with Ark Genesis Part 2, we're checking in with the community on its progress. Near the beginning of this year, the studio transitioned to working remotely, while the development of Genesis Part 2 has been ongoing throughout, and significant progress has been made, going from a highly collaborative in-office workflow to a note comes with specific challenges. So obviously that's talking about the COVID-19. Upon further evaluation, we now have better sense of the production timeline for Genesis Part 2. The new, locked-in, note I'm doing abbreviated commas in the air, release date is now March 2021, simultaneously on all platforms, again, abbreviated commas. We understand that you are eager to get into it, and this news is disappointing. However, we are passionate about delivering something genuinely special, memorable, and suitably epic. This additional time allows us to ensure a better and a unique experience, and is well worth the investment. We'll be showing an extensive first look at Genesis Part 2 later this year, revealing more details about completing your quest for ultimate survival. The forthcoming preview will reveal some of the new creatures, items, locations, features, and more. We do, however, have significant updates locked and loaded for this year, just over the horizon you can look forward to. The Crystal Isles, free DLC on console. This includes the new map in its entirety, as well as 3 new tameable and breedable crystal wyverns. So those are the 3 variant crystal wyverns. I can't remember their specific names, but there's 3 new variant wyverns. I think one of them's like a fire one of them's a poison one, and one of them's like a lightning one. Something like that, along those lines. We are planning to release this significant update during the last week of August 2020. So they've brought that forward from the initial September on console. So that's good news. I'll discuss that in a moment. So their Tender Love and Care Pass, or TLC Pass 3. This patch will overhaul 2 classic creatures with a new makeover containing updated modules, animations, visuals, and new gameplay functionality for them. We'll also be going further general quality of life, balance and gameplay changes to the core game in this update. Our much anticipated TLC 3 pass is planned for a simultaneous release on all platforms in October 2020. More on that a little later. On behalf of the broader Wildcard team, we want to thank you for your ongoing support. We are continuously humbled and appreciative of the community's creativity, passion, dedication. We'll look forward to sharing ARC's next chapter with you and a very exciting 2020 and 2021 Studio Wildcard. So then they go on to say the upcoming Balance Pass. We've spoken a lot about what players can look forward to in the future for ARC. Now let's talk about the present. This Thursday, July 30th, so the recent update, will be releasing a minor version update on PC, Xbox and PS4, which will contain a number of quality of life and balance changes. Here's some of what you can expect to get your hands on. We'll share the full set of patch notes on patch day, so the Thursday, July 30th. So, that's the full crunch. That's what they shared with us. This was on... Then there's also, obviously... Oh, there's a little more here. Oh, yeah, the evolution events. There's a slight changing to the evolution events. Note that if you run your own server now, if you had your own breeding stuff, the ×2 rates has, you just need to be aware that then it's now what was ×2 is now just ×1. So we just need to be aware the increased rates breeding might be a bit faster. That's all. So this was posted on, if I can get the date. Where's the date? Oh, here we go. July. Yeah. So let's talk about Genesis Part 2. First. So, locked in release date of March 2021. And also simultaneously on all platforms, again with my abbreviated commas. Well, we knew it was going to be delayed. Anyone who didn't know it was going to be delayed is talking rubbish, really. Because, the first part was delayed by several months. And then Crystal Isles is coming along in September of this year. And COVID-19 hasn't helped anybody. So anyone who was thinking that, Genesis Part 2 is going to be fine, is, clearly talking twaddle. So, it was clear to me that Part 2 was going to be delayed anyway, and March 2021 clearly is going to be fine. They're telling us here, locked in, that they're telling us it's going to be released on March 2021, and they're telling us that it will be available on PC, Xbox and PS4 at the same time. I'm inclined to believe them because they've been telling us that they want to bring everything out on the same time. That's been something that's been their mission since Extinction, because Extinction was supposed to be simultaneously. That was going to be their first simultaneous update. So, if it's true, good on them. But I can't see it happening, because Genesis Part 1 was supposed to be simultaneous, and look what happened there. So, yeah. Okay. Now, they did a mass feedback on Genesis Part 1, so hopefully the new stuff looks amazing. There is a lovely new picture for Genesis Part 2. Hopefully you guys are seeing that now, because hopefully I've done my job right and put the screenshot on there. Now, there's another very famous YouTuber who does news like this, and he went through the same thing I've just gone through, and he's, doing other videos and telling us, it's Smaug and all this jazz. I'm not going to start theorizing over what creatures are going to come in until I have firmer news. So once they do the reveal, I'll go through the reveal for you. But until then, I'm not going to comment or speculate. I'm just giving you what I'm reading here. So, this is what I'm reading. I'm not going into any detail. I'm not going to give you any spiel over what I think is going to come next. I'd love to see a new tech suit, but, that's just what I want to see. Also a cloaking device, because, again, that's what I want to see. But, that's just me. I highly doubt we're going to see that, but then again, we might do. But, that's just what I want to see from Ark and Genesis Part 2. In terms of creatures, I don't know. A new type of wyvern would be nice, I guess. But who knows what they're going to do. They could give us a shape-shifting dragon. Turns from a T-Rex into a dragon. Stranger things have happened. Or a wyvern that can turn invisible. I don't know. Who knows? As I say, I'm not, this isn't me speculating, I'm just having a laugh. But, because Genesis was absolutely weird. Have you seen those space whales? Trust me, there are things with Genesis that are absolutely weird. Breeding, for example, is just odd with the Genesis creatures. Whatever they decided to do was weird with Genesis creatures and breeding. But, as I say, they're clearly wanting to push the boat out with Genesis Part 2. They're clearly, from what you can read here, they're wanting to build up some suspense. We're clearly going, from what I'm reading here, I reckon we're going to see something with Genesis Part 2 around Christmas. That's my prediction. We're probably going to see a reveal around Christmas time. Possibly maybe October. So I wouldn't start planning your days off for Genesis Part 2 just yet. Let's move on to something more exciting and a little bit more tangible, which is Crystal Isles. Again, they are sharing some lovely screenshots of Crystal Isles. Anyone who hasn't used a Torpedo yet, check out my previous video, episode 7. I go through the Torpedo there. In actual fact, I have bred them since that video. Very easy to breed. Very lovely. Flying them at full speed is difficult. I actually recently got in a dogfight with a wyvern with them, and I have high level ones, and it did actually take out a fire wyvern full on. Thankfully, the Torpedo survived the incident. But yes, it's good. So they say that this is now coming in the last week of August. So this month we're getting the Crystal Isles DLC. So the map with the floaty islands, which you can see on the screenshot. They provided us with another beautiful screenshot of Crystal Isles. I have to admit, this map looks beautiful. I can't wait to get my hands on this map. Again, I will be giving you guys some videos on it. Again, I will probably do the Torpedo thing with the Crystal Wyverns. I'll go through each of the new Wyverns, like the Torpedo, for you when I get my hands on them. Yeah, very much looking forward to Crystal Isles. Been looking forward to Crystal Isles since it was announced, considering it's a very nice free map. So, yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah, very much looking forward to seeing that and giving the tour on there. I've been looking at a couple of people who've got it on PC already, and it does look really nice. So, yeah, very much looking forward to seeing that in fruition, and I'm very happy that they're delivering that slightly ahead of schedule, even if it is the last week of August. Probably the update will probably still be September, knowing them. They say the last week of August. It will be the 31st of July. 31st of August, sorry. We all know Ark. Or Wildcard, sorry. We all know that previous experience tells us that, it is always the last day. They say one thing, do another. That's just how it works. Anyone who doesn't know what Wildcard say and what Wildcard does, two separate things. That's just how they work. They tell us this, and then what actually happens is they say last week of August, and it'll be the 31st. It's just how it works. I'm not trying to disillusion anyone. I'm not trying to spread negativity. It's just, I'm just being realistic. And also previous experience says so. Also, we're in the UK as well, which will mean the update will be around about 6 o'clock in the evening, or even worse, midnight. I seem to remember Genesis being around about then, which was awful. So we couldn't play it till about the next day. Or even that, yeah. No, it was the next day, I think. Yeah, next day. Which is awful. So yes, it just wasn't. They don't seem to taken that all into account sometimes. So yeah, so let's move on to something of a bit of controversy with the YouTuber that I mentioned, which was the TLC or Tender Love and Care 3. So firstly, for anyone who doesn't know what a TLC is or does, so a TLC is a update where the Studio Wildcard will have a look at an old dinosaur. So let's say, for an example, give you an example of one. The raptor, for instance. That one got a recent TLC. So pretty early on, what a raptor does, raptor sees you. So you're walking along in the woods and you've just tamed a high level, you've just knocked out rather, really decent level parasaur. Okay. Probably not the best example of a tame, but first dinosaur that came into my head that you could tame out in the wild near a raptor. Whoops. So you've got a decent level parasaur and a raptor spots you. Back in the day, when I first started, a raptor would run at you, leap on you, and tear your face off. You'd be dead. Nowadays, from a TLC, I think it was TLC 2 or something, you can now dodge said jump. So there's now a way, I don't think you press a button, I think you can, if you spot the raptor charging you, you can now negotiate out of the way quickly enough and shoot its face off. Lucky enough, I play in creative mode now, so raptors don't bother me. They just tear me up and I just shoot them. I also have the tech shoulder cannon, so most of the time nothing affects me now. But yeah, so you can sort of, dodge the tech raptor leap. So that's one example of something getting a TLC where they change the animation or gameplay or something like that. They'll also change visuals and things like that, and animations and things like that. So things get a little tweaking, a little look at from when the game was when they were first introduced into the game. A lot of rumour has been flying around as to what creatures are exactly getting this TLC, but there's only going to be 2. Again, another YouTuber, who I won't mention by name, said that previous TLCs have had 6 dinosaurs get a TLC update. Again, Wildcard do not, and have been giving us new dinosaurs. They've been putting up, okay, to give some kind of context as to what's been going on and why the updates have been so large recently, there have been a lot of quality of life changes to Ark. Okay, you might not notice it straight away, but there have been some quality of life changes. I can't remember them all by name, but there have been some key changes to the game that they've been bringing, including they've been working on Crystal Isles and obviously still working on Genesis Part 2. So a TLC, having 6 dinosaurs in a TLC, at the moment, is probably not going to be something that they're going to do. So I would say 2 is better than 1. So in my opinion, I'm quite happy that we're getting 2 old dinosaurs looked at, and would be quite happy to be whatever dino they're going to be. More likely than not, I would say there'll be something along the lines of something old that hasn't been looked at in ages. To tell you what that dino would be, I have no idea without giving rumour. And as set out by the original channel remit, we don't usually do rumour on the channel. We do fact. And fact of the matter is, we don't know. What I would like it to be, given the fact that, they're updating. What are they updating? Modules, animation, visuals, and new gameplay. Taking all those into account, I guess for me, I'd like it to be, one of the new tech dinos, I guess. But that's personal preference. A little controversial against in my tribe because they don't like my tech dinos. If you ask them, they'll tell you they don't like my tech dinos at all. So, because they get them every Christmas. Not to mention the fact that I spend ages breeding them, and they still don't like them. So, that happens. But yeah, I'd probably like it to be a tech dino, probably. Or maybe one of the, maybe a flyer, maybe a pteranodon, or the RG, I guess. I don't know. It's difficult to say now, because there's not a lot of information there, to be honest. It's just a little, a very small paragraph, like 4 lines. Barely even that. So, but that's coming in October, so we have, again, that's another promise of simultaneously on all platforms. So, they're really pushing this whole... by the way, when we talk about all platforms, we're only talking about PC, Xbox, and PS4. If you're listening to this and you have a Switch, I apologise. I haven't heard of anything happening on Switch in terms of any of the other maps, or any TLCs or anything like that. So, well, of course, it could be a creature on island, like the Pteranodon. So then this would affect you, I guess. Who knows? Okay, so the quality of life. This is sort of my little excitement, I guess, because this is something that I get excited about regularly, because I see quality of life issues and I really get excited, especially now, because this is something that I adore. Because quality of life issues have been sort of my pain. I remember filling in the whole. I respond to said about it. I talk to people about it. I talked to them on the channel about it. I mention it all the time. This is something I want to sort of, yeah. So, I'm not going to go in depth with everything, but things I sort of pique my interest, I'll talk about. So firstly, there is a lot of stuff here. There's still a lot, but I'll go through. So, firstly, Basilosaurus has got an update. Bloodstalker's got an update. The Carno's got an update. The Carbonemus, or the turtle. The Danklustus. That's that weird one with the big semicircle mouth. The Lepleurodon. Now that is an interesting creature, actually. Ooh. So the Lepleurodon, if I remember rightly, I'm just going to give it a quick Google. But this is a really interesting creature because basically it has a magical trail coming out the back of it, and it it grants you luck, I think. If I remember right, no, it grants you something. Yes, it's a loot booster. So it will briefly spark when you approach them. Yeah, here you go. Yes. So that's interesting. That's got a. So it's increased its buff timer. So that's interestingly curious. So that's weird. So there's some breeding things. So again, that's curious. Oh, those are unofficial. So that's interesting. Oh, there's some general things here. Let's just have a look. Flying creatures will prioritize picking up friendly creatures rather than dismounting friendly riders. Interesting. Baby creatures will no longer auto-wander when hatched. Oh, now that's helpful. Mounting a flying creature will no longer instantly cause it to take off. Oh, now that's good. Cryopods in a player's inventory will now charge if a player is sleeping in a tech pod. Oh, now that's helpful. I didn't know that. But that's good, because I sleep in tech pods. Tech Helmet will now provide players with a gas mask bonus, protecting them from the poison wyvern and basilisk spit. Handy, if you're doing, wyvern ones, I guess. Or on Aberration, fighting against basilisks. Tech turrets now require double the amount of shards per bullet. Yeah, well that's annoying. Metal ingot stack size has been increased to 300, so there's been some stack size increases to metal and raw metal. Some spoils and gas bags will no longer push dinos around in PvE when landing to prevent griefing and exploits. Huh. Boss fight timer on Volgaro has been increased from 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Interesting. We're also adding a configurable gamer user ini, which allows the server host to limit the amount of gateways that can be placed on platform titles. This configuration is not retroactive, so applying this change will require some manual administration work to clear up any pre-existing platforms that exceed the limit. Max gate frame on saddles. Oh. Well, that's it. We're enabling this on our official PvP network and setting the limit to 2 on all platforms. The gateways. Oh, so I guess that's if you're putting a dino gate on top of a platform saddle? But why would you want to put a gate on a platform saddle? I've no idea. But that's an interesting one, I guess. Some of those I've seen on the Quality of Life update, particularly the gas bags. That was on the Quality of Life one, just to talk briefly. The cryopods in a player's inventory will now charge if a player is sleeping in a tech pod. Yes, that was on the Quality of Life. The tech tights now acquiring double the amount of shards per bullet. That's definitely there. The tech helmet as well will now provide players with the gas mask bonus. Yep, that was on there. And, oh yes, the mounting a flying creature will no longer instantly cause it to take off as well. So that one also was on there as well. Just to mention some of those notes that were on there. Yell and Whisper can now switch between the following modifier keys on PC. Oh, yeah, we don't care about PC. So yeah, so some of those patch notes I've seen on the Quality of Life log. So that's very interesting to be noted. So what I briefly mumbled earlier about unofficial servers being aware of a change to the evolution event. So they've increased. So going forward, they've doubled the official rates across PC, Xbox, and PS4 as standard, along with some changes to our specialty servers. So essentially what they've done is the evolution event has a ×2, I think. Let me just read the evolution event. Yeah. So everything goes to ×2. So their breeding goes to ×2. So everything was at times. So they've increased it into the game build. So basically, if we've had increased, if we have an increased breeding rate, that's been ×2, basically. So if you've, so basically you just have to reset it, and it's really confusing. I best suggest you click that if you need to understand it yourself. You might want to click on the link in the description to the Community Crunch and have a read yourself, just to make sure you have an understanding of what they're saying. But yeah, it's basically they've got permanent double rates on all servers. I don't know if it's coming to unofficials, but yeah, we just need to just be aware that there's now a permanent ×2 rate as of now, I think. So, that's about everything I have to cover. It's a rather bit longer than I expected, but again, this is sort of a discussion with everything that's gone on. Obviously, in the last episode, I alluded a bit about a little topic I want to discuss that could be as long as this, could be longer. I haven't recorded that yet because this came up just as I came back from holiday. That will now probably be episode 9 and possibly episode 10. So look out for that. That's going to be the next episode. And possibly episode 10. Yay. And then we'll go from there. So I'm just giving you the heads up on what the next episodes will be. I'm not going to tell you the title because that will spoil it. But yeah, just look out for that. And yeah, I'll see you on the next episode, Survivors.